First of all, guys, sorry about yesterday. What day is it today?
Thursday today.
Thursday. Meant to put a video on yesterday. Just didn't get round to it, did we?
No. We kept saying we need to do a video,
We do.
Got to about R4.
And we've been saying it most of today.
Yep.
But welcome back to Thursday's video. Anyway, mate, we've got loads to go on about today.
Yeah, we do.
It's going to be a little bit of a wandering around the workshop, showing you what the progress is and what we've got going on. Same as usual then, there's John, back in the van. First of all, most importantly, E30 undercarriage stuff.
Wow. It all looks good, mate.
Looks lovely, doesn't it? So I went this up Tuesday, was it, from Ryan?
Yeah, I think it was.
Sort of wanted it out of his way, which is fair enough. So I went and picked it all up. But yeah, we needed all this done really, because when the car's painted, which in all honesty is not going to be too long away now, is it?
No, not really.
I reckon a month or so.
Month or two, yeah.
Once we got that C-pillar kit and that's bonded on there, he's bonded the rear arches on, started filling those and all the rest of it. Fiberglass cool in it. Looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Most of the body is pretty much done now. Just had to do a few altercations and alterations.
So you've had him paint all this stuff?
Yes, so this was a bit of a, we had to get this done. The reason is because when the car is painted, rather than try and bring it back on a pallet, and run the risk of damaging the undercarriage, don't want to damage your undercarriage. What we're going to do is get all the bearings and bushes and that in this lot. The brakes are on their way, although we've got most of the brakes up there, but the 5-stud caliper carriers and the disc centres are on their way back. So get them in the next week or so. We need to basically get everything pretty much sorted to get back on the car, at least roughly, so we can wheel it onto the trailer. Nice. So we've got the front wheels. Have we showed them the wheels
I
yet?
don't think you have,
Really?
I am very surprised at that as well.
I know. Kept it quiet, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
So these are the wheels we're running, guys. Have a look, see what you think. Look at those.
I think they are bloody lovely, they are.
Do you reckon? Bit of a dish there.
Trick, mate.
Very trick. So
Apex.
The reason we've
nice.
Apex come from America, California, apparently. And the good thing about Apex, they're very light. They ain't massively cheap, but to be honest, they're not massively expensive.
No.
The good thing about Apex is they do any offset, any size, any width that you want, really. You sort of they make them to order. So we know the size we're going to be running on the front of this car, which is this size. It's a 17 by 8 with a ET20 offset, I believe, which apparently is what they run on the M3s, which is absolutely great. Wayne Greatrix has advised us to go for a 17 as opposed to an 18, because he said they drive horrible on the 18s, and I quite like a smaller wheel, very slightly bigger tyre. So the theory is, I've ordered these, which have took 4 weeks to come. We're going to try these on the back, and then once we've got an actual physical wheel on the back of the car, we'll know exactly how wide we can go and the offset we need. Then I'll order the other two, and it's only going to be a month until they come.
Ideal.
So what I'll do in the meantime, we'll get tyres on these, and then they'll be ready to go on the car once all this stuff's on at Ryan's, and then I'll just put some two old crappy wheels on the back.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, it's a lot of planning with this car in advance. You've got to make sure everything's sort of ready to go in it, but it's lovely, isn't it?
The bracing on there.
So this plate here, these bits here, it's all part of the bracing kit, also on the front somewhere. They do an E30 sort of bracing kit, which this is. So
it's all weld on bits.
Yeah, all weld in, fits really nice, all like laser cut and pretty trick stuff.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Things like that, mate, we may as well do, innit?
Yeah, you might as well while you're there.
So we have got, obviously we've got that's the E30 rear subframe. We've got adjustable. Obviously, I think these are the 5 Series arms, which will have adjustable, rotating, what they call them, eccentric things, so we can change the camber and caster and what have you. The front subframe is E30, whereas the rest of it is E36, I believe. Steering column, we've had that all done because that's going to be visible in the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite nice, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks good.
Well happy with that.
All looks lovely.
I think the wheels are nice because I was umming and ahhing whether to go for either a black wheel or a silver, but that's the best of both worlds. Isn't it? Nice graphite.
Well, yeah.
And they didn't do them at that size in black anyway, so there we go.
Right.
So yeah, that's the E30. It's coming on. Should be well on the way of getting
getting there now with it.
Actually getting there, mate. Actually getting there. So
into paint and all that.
I shall probably stick a couple of photos, dig them out, stick them on this video. Obviously, the back arches we're doing them as over fenders, but they're going to be bonded on and then filled and what have you, so they'll look like original wings. Front wings are original Evo 2 Sport wings, so
proper steel ones.
It's going to look trick, isn't it?
It's going to look very good.
Spoke to Matt at, what's he called? Summit Wiring. Matt, who's doing the wiring anyway. It's booked in for December, but he said if the car's done before that, which it most probably will be, just send it up whenever and he'll get the wiring done.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, mate.
Nice.
So there we go. Anyway, that's E30 update. Where are we here? So we've been cracking on with the cylinder heads for they two.
Yes.
This one here, which is just a
sort of clean up.
Just a service, really. Yeah. Clean up, make sure there's no debris in the head, and needed a little skim. We had to do a little bit of welding on there.
Yeah.
And we've had to machine the thermostat housing, which will head down and... Oh, you've got it. Where is it?
Down on the floor here, mate, by the... Nope, it's not. I put it in the wash.
You put it in the wash. So, first one I've ever had do this, but the thermostat housing wasn't great.
No.
They always look a little bit manky.
Yeah.
But the customer said he couldn't stop it from dripping, so I've set it up on the angle plate, give it a little lick over, put 3 helicoils in it because one of the threads had gone.
Nice.
So yeah, we've had to do that, mate. But then it's just put it back together. The bottom end wise, told you in the last video that we have changed the bearings. Bearings all looked horrible, but we believe that there's quite a lot of fuel in the oil for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I've had a chat with Kevin, the owner, and obviously when this thing's all packed back together, and he'll get the map checked to make sure it's all fine. In the meantime, I'll put it back together with new bearings, plastic gauged it, just to make sure all the clearances are good. John's polished the crank and checked that. It has been ground to 0.5 on the mains and the big ends, this one. So he said it measures up perfect and it's polished up absolutely lovely. So I've done the plastic gauging here to check the clearances, and you can see that one, look.
Bang on too, isn't it?
Absolutely
really?
Bang on too, which is perfect for this, really. It gives you about 0.9 of a thou per inch. Can't do better than that, mate.
Nope.
So I'm going to stick that cap on, get it torqued up, turn it over, and we're going to be putting the head on, just doing a dummy fit without the springs on. Drop down of the valves, make sure we've got all the clearance going on with the pistons, and then it's just put the sump on, head on. Job's a good one. So that should be done by, well, he'll be having it back by the beginning of next week. So that's another one out of the way and rescued, hopefully. So once the heads are done for these, mate, we come through here. I've been having a little go on the Centronic.
Oh, really?
Haven't had a go on it for quite a while.
Yeah.
So you very kindly put 2 sets of guides in both of these heads for them 2 cozzies, haven't you?
Yes.
And had a little go at reaming them yesterday. You love that, don't you?
Well, yeah. It's just not...
It's nasty, isn't it?
Yeah. As John always says, it's something to do with the material. It's very, very hard, isn't it?
It's strange, yeah, because some bronze are nice to ream. They're a bit like brass, really, like softer, but these are nasty.
Very, very hard.
Same with the seats. The seats are some sort of, I don't know what they're actually made of. The exhaust seats, definitely. So you've got to have I keep a nice brand new cutting tool.
Yeah, so nice sharp one.
Dead sharp, yeah. And I just use it for the Cosworths.
So I suppose with being that they're quite hard, I suppose you can end up with chattering when you're cutting.
You can end up with chattering, but what most likely happens is the tool tries to rub on at least one side of it, so it'll cut, then come off and rub, and what you end up doing is cutting the seat sort of like that. So it'll just never vacuum. Once it starts doing that, you'll never in a million years lap it in.
No.
With a nice new tool like this, you can see, so where it starts touching here, that is basically out that much. So what that usually is when you put in a new set of guides, they don't always go in exactly true.
Yeah.
You're talking very slightly, but
well, it's all exaggerated, isn't it? In the angle and the distance, the distance between like the end of the guide and the seat.
Fever.
So the hay fever.
Yeah, so you can always tell when you start cutting what it's going to cut like. I tend to, for road use, or most of these road cars, I tend to do it with the straight 45 degree rather than the three face. Everyone's obsessed with the three face, but the only trouble is with the three face, you end up with a 1.5mm wide 45 degree seat that the valve sits on, and it can, over time, it can eat into the valve head. Yeah. And also the seat can, the valve, it can do the opposite. So basically the valve can sink down into the head.
Well, it's just, yeah.
So with the straight 45, it just gives you more support on the valve. You're not going to lose anything like any performance, really. It's only when you start working the head, like porting it, and especially on a turbo, doesn't really make any difference, to be fair.
It's absolutely jamming it in there, isn't it? So it's...
Yeah. And the trouble is with the three-face cutters, it does, because you've got three faces that want to cut at once, with this particular material, it doesn't like it. No. So what you tend to have to do is cut the 45 and then cut the two angles separate, but it's almost 3 times longer a job, really. Yeah. Which is fine, but the main reason is just to have that longevity, really, with the valve and seat contact. So this little machine here, we showed this for a while, I don't think we have, a way for anyone that's new to the channel. Yeah. Basically, the old head that we used to have was CNC controlled, so you get a pilot, you've got a series of pilots here that go up in stages of 2 to 3 thou. Yeah. You find a pilot that fits best in the guide. Then what you do is put the pilot down in the bottom of this. You've got the cutter there, which is set to the right width. Okay. Then what you do is you set this tool holder here, so you've got probably about a 0.5mm to 1mm of clearance between the tool and the seat to start with, and nip it up. Then we put the whole thing down the hole and we centre it roughly in the middle of there.
So you use that rubber boot as a bit of a gauge?
Yeah, we do, really. Magnet on up here, and that's the base magnet there that fixes it to this steel bed. Yep. Then what we do is by hand you just feel the centre of that guide. Now most people are going to look at that and think, well, I would have thought the CNC one would be better because the CNC one used to find its own centre.
It did, yeah.
But I find this is more accurate.
Yeah, in a way.
In a weird way.
I didn't use the CNC one too much, but when I did use it, I did think it was kind of like a bit, I don't know, sometimes it just wouldn't really find the centre, or
it was
a little bit off, or it'd flash up for an error.
It was a good theory, but in practice it just didn't. Sometimes just didn't work that well.
Yeah, definitely better.
And sometimes if you had too good a fit guide, pilot in the guide, it wouldn't be able to sense it, so it would like buzz out and it'd be a nightmare. So our CNC head, which was about 25 years old, packed up. So we ordered another head. When it arrived, it was this, and apparently they don't do the CNC head anymore. They just do this because obviously everyone thought the same thing. Well, there's no need.
Well, they're probably a lot more expensive for not a lot of benefit, if any.
Well, in comparison, today's money, this was about £3 grand.
Yeah.
And I think a CNC one would probably be about 20, 25.
Yeah, it's mental really.
Which is fine if it did the job a lot more accurately, but it didn't.
No.
This one I find, I just find it very accurate.
Well, you'd think that if it was the CNC ones, you'd almost be able to find the centre no matter what sort of how good of a fit pilot you've got.
Yeah.
But even with a really good fitting pilot, it was still a little bit.
It was a bit, wasn't it?
Bit funny sometimes.
Yeah.
It did work, didn't it? But just a bit. Sometimes it just did strange things.
It did, mate. It was a bit weird. So, just got to turn this round, ream the guides and cut the seats on the inlets, skim it, and that one's pretty much done, mate. That is for the one owner job, isn't it?
Yeah. Never been skimmed even, has it?
Well, guys, we're going to call it a day on that video. Remember, there's a video tomorrow, which should be Friday, where we are going to be showing you how far we've got with the normally aspirated and the cylinder head. We're going to be checking the valve to piston clearance and all that, and we can hopefully get that one finished in tomorrow's video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about yesterday. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.